Let me ask you, is everyone on U.S. soil, citizens and non-citizens, entitled to due process?
Yes, of course. But let me tell you, it looks in immigration standing, the laws are very specific. If you're in this country unlawfully, you have no right to be here and you must be removed. That's what the law says. Somehow over the last 20 years, we've completely lost this notion that somehow or completely adopted this idea that yes, we have immigration laws, but once you come into our country illegally, it triggers all kinds of rights that can keep you here indefinitely. That's why we were being flooded at the border. And we've ended that, and that's why you see a historically low number of people not just trying to cross our border, trying to cross the border into Panama, all the way down in the Darien Gap. I mean, it's been a huge help for those countries as well. On the headline, that's a misleading headline. Okay, 3 U.S. citizens, ages 4, 7, and 2, were not deported. Their mothers, who are legally in this country, were deported. The children went with their mothers. If those children are U.S. citizens, they can come back into the United States if there's their father or someone here who wants to assume them. But ultimately, who was deported was their mothers who were here illegally. The children just went with their mothers.
Donald Trump loves to lie. Now, getting caught in those lies, he certainly doesn't love it as much. But when he does, when he feels that his back is against the wall, he really starts to flail. He really starts to panic. He really starts to lose it. And that is exactly what we saw today when a week's worth of lies about his trade deals, which don't actually exist, by the way, finally caught up to him. Yeah, he lost it pretty bad, and we are going to get into it all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me now. Before we can get into the lies Donald Trump was caught in on live TV, first, we got to start with the lie that he's been telling all week, and that's about China.
Spoken to President Xi. When did that happen? China says it hasn't happened.
I spoke to him numerous times. So we're leaving and going to Rome, where we'll be attending the funeral of Pope Francis. Some of you are going to go. Anybody going? And it's going to be very interesting. We're going to meet with a lot of the foreign leaders. They want to meet. Trade deals are going very well. I think Russia and Ukraine, I think they're coming along, we hope. Very fragile. And Iran, I think, is going very well. We'll see what happens. We're working on plenty of things that shouldn't be worked on, because none of this stuff should have happened. This should have been taken place by Biden. It should have been fixed by Biden. But he couldn't do it, nor could he come close to doing so.
So, of course, Donald Trump has promised that he's going to be making lots of deals, but the most important deal is the deal that he might and won't at this point be making with China. Why? Because all of our allies, all of our former trading partners are now looking to China for their guidance. They're not going to make a deal with us that could potentially impact their trading with China, because the U.S. has screwed everyone over, and because of Donald Trump demonstrated we're not a trustworthy partner. So now we see Japan waiting until China has made a deal with the United States to make a deal with us. And so Donald Trump has screwed his ability to do any of these deals that he promised he was going to get done as he waits on China, which he said he's in communication with. But is that the case? Well, let's ask 2 of Donald Trump's cabinet officials who couldn't really give us a clear answer on any of this.
On the trade and on the deals. Yes, for sure. On the deals, we have 100 countries that are knocking on the door. I believe, I'm not in the room, I'm not negotiating the trade deals, but my understanding is we should have several this week that are coming forward that are very, very close. China is a very important one. Every day we are in conversation with China, along with those other 100 countries that have come to the table. Many countries have already flown to Washington and are meeting with Secretary Lutnick, meeting with Secretary Besant, meeting with our USTR, Jameson Greer, and there is a tremendous amount of progress on all fronts that we'll see again more this week.
The Time interview with President Trump, he said that he has made 200 deals on tariffs. 200 deals? Who has he made deals with? Is there actually any deal at this point?
I believe that he is referring to sub-deals within the negotiations we're doing. And Martha, if there are 180...
But those aren't actual deals.
Martha, if there are 180 countries There are 18 important trading partners. Let's put China to the side because that's a special negotiation. There's 17 important trading partners, and we have a process in place over the next 90 days to negotiate with them. Some of those are moving along very well, especially with the Asian countries.
So it is incredibly clear that there are no deals being done. There are no talks of deals. We saw Scott Bessent say that those are sub deals. What does that even mean? Are we back to what did Trump say about his health care plan? He had thoughts about a plan. There were ideas of a plan. There were concepts of a plan. Is that what we have now? We have concepts of deals. Well, we think that, we like the word deal, and we know this country does exist. So we're kind of closer, is that what they're pitching us now is that the state of things, these are the lies being pushed out of the administration that they are clearly getting caught in. And Donald Trump responded when those lies about all the deals he claims to be making and all the deals he claims are coming were finally exposed. He made this post clearly melting down. Trump wrote, "When tariffs cut in, many people's income taxes will be substantially reduced, maybe even completely eliminated. Focus will be on making people with less than $200,000 a year. Also, massive numbers of jobs are already being created with new plants and factories currently being built or planned. It will be a bonanza for America." The External Revenue Service is happening, so that post was made by Trump as his cabinet officials were appearing on the Sunday shows, but it doesn't make sense. Like, of course, we know that none of the messaging around the stupidest trade war in history makes any sense. But if Donald Trump is talking about the imaginary deals that he's making to end the tariffs, why would he be praising the tariffs, right? It only leads us to believe that there is a pivot happening, that we are going away from all the deal talk to, oh no, we're just doing the tariffs, because Donald Trump really hasn't made it clear what he wants to do. It's been the most confusing part of all of this. Why the stock market has tanked so much. That's why there's so much uncertainty in the business community, leading to people being laid off or having job offers rescinded, like has happened to so many of my friends graduating college right now who don't know if they will have a job. Donald Trump doesn't know what's going to happen. And so now he is falling back on actually the whole point of the tariffs was actually to keep the tariffs forever, not to use them as leverage, which clearly they don't have anymore. Scott Bessent made that clear. All of Donald Trump's cabinet officials made it clear that they don't really know what they're talking about. And Marco Rubio was the same right here.
3 U.S. citizen children have been deported with their mothers. Now, this is according to the Washington Post. The family's lawyer says one of them is a 4-year-old with stage 4 cancer, deported without medication or ability to contact doctors. The family's lawyers are also saying their clients were denied communication with family and legal representatives before being deported. And it's raising concerns about the issue of due process, that it's being violated. So let me ask you, is everyone on U.S. soil, citizens and non-citizens, entitled to due process?
Yes, of course. But let me tell you, it looks in immigration standing, the laws are very specific. If you're in this country unlawfully, you have no right to be here and you must be removed. That's what the law says. Somehow over the last 20 years, we've completely lost this notion that somehow or completely adopted this idea that yes, we have immigration laws, but once you come into our country illegally, it triggers all kinds of rights that can keep you here indefinitely. That's why we were being flooded at the border. And we've ended that. And that's why you see a historically low number of people not just trying to cross our border, trying to cross the border into Panama, all the way down in the Darien Gap. I mean, it's been a huge help for those countries as well. On the headline, that's a misleading headline. Okay, 3 U.S. citizens, ages 4, 7, and 2, were not deported. Their mothers, who are legally in this country, were deported. The children went with their mothers. If those children are U.S. citizens, they can come back into the United States if there's their father or someone here who wants to assume them. But ultimately, who was deported was their mothers who were here illegally. The children just went with their mothers. But it wasn't like, you guys make it sound like ICE agents kicked down the door and grabbed the 2-year-old and threw him on an airplane. That's misleading. Yeah. That's just not true.
Just to be clear, because I do want to get to the overhaul at the State Department, is it the U.S. policy to deport children, even U.S. citizens, with their families, and I hear what you're saying, without due process. Just to be very clear there.
Well, no. Again, if someone's in this country unlawfully, illegally, that person gets deported. If that person is with a 2-year-old child or has a 2-year-old child and says, I want to take my child with me, well, then you have two choices. You can say, yes, of course you can take your child, whether they're a citizen or not, because it's your child. Or you can say, yes, you can go, but your child must stay behind. And then your headlines would read, U.S. holding hostage 2-year-old, 4-year-old, 7-year-old while mother deported. So the parents make that choice. I imagine those 3 U.S. citizen children have fathers here in the United States. Yeah. They can stay with their father. That's up to their family to decide where the children go. Children go with their parents. Parents decide where their children go. Right. The U.S. deported their mothers who were illegally in America.
Now, it is hard to follow, not just because it is incredibly sad, but because there are so many these stories of U.S. citizens being deported. But we saw in the most recent example, a 4-year-old with cancer was deported. The pro-life party, the law and order party, 4-year-old with cancer, no due process, shipped out of the country, a citizen. I don't have words for this anymore. I truly don't have words for what is happening. But this is Donald Trump's America. This is what we expected it to look like. And this is exactly what is happening. And where is their focus? Well, Donald Trump destroys our Constitution and wipes his with the rule of law. Look what Marco Rubio is talking about.
Have you taken any steps to carry out President Trump's plans, as he has said he would like to annex Canada? Have you taken any steps in that direction?
No, I think what the president has said, and he has said this repeatedly, is he was told by the previous prime minister that Canada could not survive without unfair trade with the United States. At which point he asked, well, if you can't survive as a nation without treating us unfairly in trade, then you should become a state. That's what he said. They'll have their elections this week. They're going to have a new leader, and we'll deal with the new leadership of Canada. There are many things we work with cooperatively on Canada on, but we actually don't like the way they've treated us when it comes to trade. And the president has made that point when he responded to the previous prime minister in regards to this.
So does the U.S. still want to make Canada the 51st state?
I think the president has stated repeatedly he thinks Canada would be better off as a state. And he has said that based on what he was told by the previous prime minister, who said Canada can't survive unless it treats the U.S. unfairly in trade.
All right.
We have citizens being deported, and they're still focused on Canada as the 51st state more than anything, more than just the corruption, the criminality, the absurdity of it all. It's just embarrassing, isn't it? It's just embarrassing to have these idiots in charge. It's sad, and we gotta call them out every single day. We're gonna be doing that on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments, and until next time, I'll see you soon.